Hey, slash I do buckaroos. How the heck are you? So again, I put together a couple cocktails, channeling Valentine's Day. Just kind of spitballing here, coming up with some ideas. Some are rather obvious. In all honesty, not everything has to be complicated. As I try to tell folks, you don't have to have 100 ingredients. Keep it simple. Anyways, I digress. So here's what I got. The first one is extremely simple, actually. Only a couple ingredients in this one. And you can complicate it more if you want, to be honest with you. But I wanted to keep this one simple, calling it a sweetheart martini. Vanilla vodka. Had some macerated strawberries, so dropped a couple in there and some of the juice. So this is just strawberry. That's all I got going on here. Now, again, I talked about complicating it or adding more to it. You could add some creme de cacao to here. You can add any kind of chocolate liqueur, in all honesty, if you wanted to add that touch. And I probably will do that with a later cocktail, but I wanted to have this one as is, and I want to make this one just like this later, but maybe add uh, another component. But I want to keep it simple to start with. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of folks make, is you make it complicated to start with. Start with your simplest form, see what you got, then you can gradually add things. Here I've got strawberries. What is more Valentine's Day than just a simple strawberry, other than you want chocolate on it. So we'll do that later. But here, I just want to do that vanilla vodka with the strawberries, just some macerated strawberries and some of the juice. That's all that's in here. No other simple. So, but I will tell you that strawberry juice really wasn't all that sweet to start with. And that makes the perfect, just simple right out of the gate cocktail. This is that perfect aperitif, right? That before you do all your other stuff for Valentine's Day, just that simple cocktail to get you started. So I'm going to do a version of this later. And I've got various other liqueurs. I'm trying to decide which direction to go with. I have the creme de cacao, actually, a couple different versions of. But then I also have some bourbon cream. So I'm trying to decide what direction I want to take this particular cocktail. Because as is, it's fine. It's just that nice vanilla vodka. Again, some people might want this sweeter than I do. I just wanted to keep it very pure, very simple. Because I don't want to put too much upon a palate, right? I want this is your first cocktail of the day, the morning, the afternoon, whenever you're getting started. This is that first one to just set the mood from there. Oh, gosh, that is nice, though. That is really nice. Again, if you want to sweeten it more, you could do a sweeter, simple than I got going on here. Again, all I've got in here is that strawberry juice from the macerated strawberries. That wasn't terribly sweet. It's a little bit of tartness. But the only thing I might want to add to it would be maybe just a touch more vanilla. Oh, gosh, that is tasty, though. And sometimes simple is better, right? Just keep it simple. You don't got to go crazy. Uh, Valentine's Day. My wife and I don't always celebrate it, in all honesty. Sometimes we do just small things. We've gotten to where we don't go out anymore. If I have the day off, I'll probably do something like this. She likes to, the very rare occasion she does drink is has to be very sweet and very weak. So I may do a version of this just a little sweeter. Because Valentine's Day menus are so expensive and the restaurants are going to be crowded. And quite frankly, I think both of us just enjoy eating at home more than we enjoy going out anymore. Especially when I think, well, we can go out, spend $100, or I can take that same $100 and buy a whole lot of groceries. I can get, I mean, if we want steak, I can buy a very nice ribeye and lobster and still spend less than it would be to go out. On top of the cocktails or other beverages I might have. I didn't used to think that way in my younger days, but I do now. I look at all that. Okay, it's going to cost me this much. It's going to be okay. But in all honesty, I'm going to taste that thing. I could do better. And I'm not a trained chef by any means, and there are several techniques I don't know, but I do know enough to feel comfortable about the techniques that I do know, so I can make a nice meal. And I've always enjoyed cooking. Would I like to have some training at some point? I don't know. I've thought about it actually. A lot of stuff I've just kind of picked up here and there just over the years as an older person. Just I've learned a lot of techniques over the years. And then I will admit there are some techniques I just don't care to know. I'm not going to use them. And that's one reason that keeps me away from. I have no need to have a degree at this point in my life. I know what I'm doing. I know how to make certain things very nicely. So I'm sticking to my comfort zone, if you will, for the most part. But every once in a while, I want to say, okay, I want to do this. I don't know how to do this, so I look up various ideas to show me how to get there. And then I sort of cobble the way I want to get there, right? I look at this recipe, this recipe, this recipe. I like this. I don't like that. I like this. I don't like that. I like this. I don't like that. I like this. And I put those together to get there the way I want to. And that's, for lack of a better word, technique that I like to employ. Just weed out what you don't like and put those things together. If you don't know how to do something, learn how. And you don't need a lot of school anymore to get there. A lot of it is just common sense, in all honesty. Once you say, oh, okay, this is the technique, this is how you do it. Okay, that's fine, I got it. Okay, cocktail number 2. We got a little more clever with, if you will. So I used, let me see where I put it here. Now, a lot of Valentine's Day is chocolate and strawberries, but I think some don't want to leave that chocolate and cherry behind either. So that's where I went with this particular cocktail. I went chocolate and cherry with the cherry vanilla bourbon from St. Elmo. I went with, let's see where I put it here. There it is. I went with the craft cordials from Rocktown. Their creme de cacao at 48 proof. So I used 2 ounces of that bourbon. I used just shy of an ounce of that creme de cacao. Then I topped it off with Luxardo cherry liqueur. So I added more. I had a cherry vanilla bourbon. I added some chocolate to it, but then I finished it with just a little more cherry. Whoops, drop that lid, darn it. How did I do that? That lid on those just pops right off. And that is, so I talked about the other one being the perfect place to start. This one is that perfect place to finish, right? It's that end of the night. It's that fireplace. It's that dessert cocktail. You're done. You had your nice dinner. You went out if you were going out. You stayed in if you were staying in. You had your nice meal. You watched a movie maybe. You snuggled. You cuddled. And then you're into the now you turn the fireplace on, whether you got a real one or you're just putting it up on the TV just to set a mood. You put some Barry White on. or some Tina Brooks if you really want to set a mood and not go mainstream. Put on some Tina Brooks in the background. Oh yeah, now you're cooking with gas, baby. And then this is the cocktail. Now, let me be honest. My wife wouldn't drink this cocktail. It's a little too booze forward, even though I love it. I would have to make, I like the idea of what I've got here, but I would have to do, I'd have to take it down a notch, if you will. I'd have to turn it into more of a highball for her. Because the flavors that she would like, but it's a little too much on the alcohol side for her. But for a lot of folks, this would be just the nice. I mean, just a beautiful end to the evening. Just that last cocktail of the night, that dessert, that fireplace, that nightcap, if you will. Put that last bit of sweetness on her lips. Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. That is really gorgeous. Yeah. I do like that Rocktown creme de cacao. I gotta tell you, that stuff, it is a little more expensive than most of what you're gonna find at the liquor store, but it really is worth that little bit extra. It is just done so impeccably well. And again, that Luxardo cherry liqueur, well, Luxardo, that the name says it all. As far as cherry liqueur, that is the best. And again, I didn't put much in, maybe a quarter ounce, right? At the most. Yeah, I just kind of top. In fact, I didn't even shake it. I got the cocktail nice and chilled, strained it in the glass, and I just kind of drizzled a little bit over the top because that's the way I want to leave it, right? I think what being again going back to that, I like to cook. It's not always the ingredients that make a great dish or a great cocktail. It's how you put them together. The reason I do this that way is that I want those aromatics left. I want that cherry note over the top. That liqueur is gonna, meld into the rest of the cocktail. But for that brief moment, it's going to give you that big cherry nose, and then you're gonna feel that chocolate, and then the cherry again, and then you're oh, okay, I get it now. And that's what a lot of folks don't get. It's not necessarily the ingredients you put in your food or your cocktail. It's how you put them in, when you put them in, how you layer them. I put a lot of stock into this. I said, okay, well, I put this in this way, then I add this. The ingredients need to be added in a specific order depending on what you want your outcome to be. And I'm very conscious of that no matter what cocktail I'm doing this. This goes into the shaker, then this, and then this, and okay, then we add that after that is done. There is a couple other Valentine's Day cocktails I want to get to, but I'm going to have to wait about a week until I can properly shake again. I can with the left hand, but I really need that right hand to, anyways. I'm going to wait a week. There's some other cocktails. I want to do a proper espresso martini for you. In fact, I really wish I could do that one now. I may give it an attempt later. Um, which would be again, that's a different direction, but that's a fine Thanksgiving Day cocktail or Thanksgiving Valentine's Day cocktail. My priority in holidays showed right there. For me, Thanksgiving means a lot more than Valentine's Day, but nevertheless. But no, a proper espresso martini. But I'm just doing stirred cocktails. I may try it later. I'm afraid to do any shaking with his hand at the moment, though. And I can do some with the left hand, but I feel like I need the right hand to steady it just in case something goes awry. anyways, I digress. But that was more than we needed to know, Tom, really. Uh, I will tell you, though, at the age of 60, and I know I've said this before, so it's kind of ad nauseum at this point if you've watched a lot of my stuff. So I'm really enjoying being a bartender. I didn't become a full-time bartender until I was, I don't know, pushing 59, actually. It's not that I'd never bartended before, don't get me wrong. I've been around alcohol since the day I was born. Just never necessarily worked at a bar. I mean, I was at a very young age. I was making cocktail for my dad, mom, and friends. I think I was 12 when I made my first martini, but nevertheless. But as far as being a professional bartender, now that I'm really dug into it, I mean, this is the best career path that I've ever. I won't even say chosen because it kind of just came to me. In all honesty, um, I spent a lot of years. I spent about 30 plus years in retail management because that's where I fell into. I didn't have a college education. I got good at that, so I moved up the ladder with several companies, and I did that. I didn't hate it. In fact, I really loved it for a period of time, right up until it just felt futile. Then our son uh, was diagnosed with leukemia. Then our lives just changed dramatically from there, and I kind of lost myself for a while, in all honesty. But I lucked into this particular gig that I have now, and I've never enjoyed anything more than being a bartender. I love pouring great craft beer. I love making cocktails. And I love the people that come in to see me because they enjoy what they like the way I pour the beer. They like the way I make the cocktails. I got to tell you, you know, beer taps can be finicky. That's what a lot of folks don't get. Is you can be great at the place you work all the time, but then if you're asked to go somewhere else, it's going to take you a minute to get used to those taps because they're just slightly different. But I've been at my place long enough now where I've got my taps wired, man. Yeah, I'll get on a curve occasionally, but for the most part, I could make that perfect pour 99 times out of 100 anymore. Until I just said that, and I get real cocky, and that's when I screw one up because I know I'm going to pour that perfect beer, and then something happens. Oh, Tom. Because fate will always step in to mess with you, right when you're feeling your best. But I do feel like right now I love pouring great craft beer and I'm very good at it. I love talking to people and to customers, and I'm working for a place that encourages bartenders to be what bartenders used to be, right? Most places don't want your bartenders to talk to anybody anymore. They want you to put the beer on the table and walk away, or on the bar, whatever it is. But I'm at a place that wants that interaction. They encourage that. They've trained us to be that way. And for me, it's comes natural because I'm that guy anyway. To just say, okay, here we go. And then I talk to everybody. Then I get that conversation started. I get this new person talking to this regular, and then I'm out and I'm on to my next. And that's the job, man. And I got to tell you, I love it more than anything. It's the best career I've ever had in my entire life. I'm probably not going to die rich, but at the moment, I am extremely happy. So, anyways, I digress. Valentine's cocktails. Again, I will take some. I will work on more complicated versions of what I showed you today. But again, I want to start out at the very simplest point and work up rather than start the most complicated and work down. That's what makes most sense to me. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and oh, excuse me. All right, good guy, Sancho.